Hi, Raghav. Thank you so much for doing this. It's been a pleasure. And I feel like India specifically should know that there's a new wave in the art world and that it comes with a new medium, it comes with new ideas, and it comes with fresh insecurities. You've been, you've in a way been very active about this new culture, and you keep referring to it as the NFT wave. So, can you kind of like explain what you're trying to achieve by bringing in a new, uh, how do I say it, a new idea in a space that is already so cryptic, right? Fine art is something that people don't get even now. I'm talking of things like oil paintings, drawings, and art in general. People are still confused about the whole idea. You add another layer of confusion, and I mean, it's a global phenomenon right now. So can we just kind of can you articulate what is this change all about and what it represents and how do you contribute to these ideas
Thank you,
specifically
Vaibhav.
about the NFT? Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Firstly, to begin with, artists have been using technology for over 2 decades, 3 decades right now. I mean, since the 70s, we've been having procedural drawing. It's not new. It's at least 30 years. In fact, my own practice, I've been working with technology for the last at least 15 years,
Yeah.
So for me, artists like me used to hide the fact that we used to use technology in our thinking, in our process, in our creation. And digital art was always considered inferior. Just like when photography came and shook up the art world, I believe we have a photography moment now.
Yeah.
NFTs are taking up the art world. It's sending all artists, galleries into a crisis mode.
Yeah.
And I think that you know that because for the first time, digital art has become valuable. In one short sentence, digital art is now art. And what does that do? Why is that so shocking? Why is that revolutionary? Why is that creating such a wave in the art world? Because with the advent of digital art, now we have new values that are coming into the art world. Popularity versus academic pursuits. You have new values like cuteness,
Yeah.
sexiness, which were completely removed from the art world, are suddenly becoming valuable. When an Indian immigrant bought the work of Beeple
Yeah.
for $69 million and shook the art world,
Yeah.
nobody had seen that kind of money going into the art world. And there are a whole bunch of people who are crypto rich and they wanted to spend their money somewhere. And the crypto world is looking for an asset class, an art asset class. And therefore, they chose digital art. And I think this is going to allow for new patrons, new forms of art to flourish, and completely new values in the art world. And therefore, the traditional art world is now questioning its own motives, its own existence, its own values right now. And I think that's exciting.
Yeah, it's amazing. You refer to something contemporary, what we refer to as contemporary art, as classical art in 2021. it's,
Absolutely.
it's something to chew on. It's something to think about. So I want to ask you, unless you don't want to reveal it, what does your crypto portfolio look like?
My crypto portfolio is actually very private. In fact, I don't even show people what I'm up to. But I must tell you something. I'm going to go back to what you just said. You said in 2021, contemporary art is now classical, right? Firstly,
Yeah,
we should remember that conceptual art is 75 years old. We already have grandfathers who did it.
that's
So
true.
that tradition needs to be evolved. It's not new. It may be new in India, but I think India has always had an advantage of leapfrogging.
Yes,
And what I'm urging Indian designers, architects, and artists, this is another thing. Architects are going to collaborate with artists.
that's
This is
amazing.
not limited to just one medium.
But in a way, this is also decentralization of art itself, right? This is
It is, absolutely.
Can you speak about why you are you firstly making your own art, your own non-fungible tokens?
Absolutely. I'm actually doing it as, so everything I do, see, I'm not interested in the rat race that everyone's excited about right now. With any new market, there's going to be this sudden explosion, then the market will settle down.
Yeah.
So the problem right now is we have too many speculators and not enough believers. The
And
market grew because of believers.
you are a believer.
Now we have all the people. I'm a total believer. In fact, I had a 200-year vision for NFTs 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm the one who brought NFTs to India before it even existed. I told Aparajita about that 5 years ago. Tried
Oh,
to get Indian, when I spoke to galleries,
yeah.
nobody was interested in this except for Aparajita
Yeah.
for terrain. So it's interesting that now there is this FOMO, and I hate that word FOMO. It's the most used word,
Yeah.
fear of missing out. We are only acting because of FOMO. We are not acting because of the joy of a new discovery.
That's true.
And
You
I
referred
think that we need to change.
you referred to a vision of you had for the next 200 years for crypto. Can you kind of like explain what was that vision?
So ultimately, here's my belief that when AI and robots are taking our jobs, right? And very soon, human labor, as
Yeah.
see, we understand ourselves through our labor.
Yeah.
That has been the predominant
Correct.
narrative.
Yeah.
And when human labor
Yeah.
is going to be replaced, then
Yeah.
what is the only labor that we can actually engage in,
That's true.
right?
And
We're
that
going to engage in creative pursuits.
and that is a 200 year old 200-year long question because it's gradually going
Yes. And
automated.
what is history of the future? How do we document digital history? Look at Google. The day Google came online, it changed the world. It changed our behavior. It changed the way you and I talk.
Yeah.
The
This
internet changed the world. Yeah, I'm sitting here in Turin, Italy. You're in India, and we are sitting and having a conversation. And
amazing.
I think we couldn't have imagined this was science fiction.
Yes.
Even 15 years, 10 years, 15 years ago, it was science fiction. So it's saying we are in a completely new paradigm, and we have to understand what it means to be a cyborg. I believe we're no longer the ape that has tools. That's a very old way of
So
thinking about us.
what's your advice for not just artists or upcoming artists, but also let's say art professors who have to teach their teachers? This question is not just for the artists, but it's also for the for art educators and for the general population. Because imagine a child says, "Well, I don't want to join art school. I want to create NFTs. I want to do art my way," and the kind of already existing insecurities about being a creative professional, again you add another layer to that. And so
Absolutely.
how do you if let's say you were in the elevator with somebody who you wanted to sell your NFT to, and they have no clue what NFTs are. I'm asking you for your elevator pitch. Basically, you have, like, let's say you're in New York. No, you're in Turin. Let's say you have 30 seconds, right? I know this is like a short interview, so I just asking you, if you had really simplified, like, I get it, maybe I'm sure you get it in a way.
I would say
Yeah.
collect art now, because we are the first generation of a new paradigm.
True.
That's it. That's my elevator pitch. But let me say something you said that's very important. I want to talk about professors, people who are now teaching
Yeah,
art now. A lot of it is becoming
they have to
redundant.
they have to learn. They have to update themselves.
Yeah. And my brother, Dr. Karthik Kalyan Raman, and I wrote a paper for Marg. We wrote a very, very hard-hitting sort of criticism of conceptual art. The kind of resistance we got from Baroda, from all the top universities in India, they said, this is trash, this is bullshit, this
Yeah,
cannot happen. And all I'm saying is, whenever there's change, Vaibhav,
it's going to
there
be.
are three feelings that we humans have.
Yeah,
Okay, there's loss, there's liberation, and there's mystery. So when you lose something, there's anger, there's fear,
you want
there
to.
is insecurity, vulnerability.
Yeah,
When there is liberation, we can be new things. And that is what we need to focus on. And finally, mystery, when we don't know who we are going to become. And that's very scary for most people who want to control their lives and control others' lives.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
In a decentralized world, we lose control of each other. That is the fundamental shift. There is no central authority deciding good art or bad art anymore.
Is
There is only behavior.
there any particular application you use, like Foundation, or I don't know, what is the platforms you use to trade NFTs? Like how do you trade?
So let me,
Can you
instead of
explain how do you
promoting
make? Yeah.
yeah. So the beauty of NFTs is whenever you look at an NFT, there are three questions you need to ask yourself. First, you need to ask yourself, is this digital, physical, or phygital? Okay.
Digital.
Phygital. Okay.
Yeah.
So either you're buying something that is a pure digital experience,
Yeah.
like a digital image or a digital video,
Yeah.
or you're buying something that's physical but traded in crypto.
Yeah.
So you can buy a painting, a physical painting,
Yeah.
as an NFT. So
Yeah.
most people don't know that. Or you can buy something that is both physical and digital. For example, if I project a video on a painting,
Yeah.
that's both physical and digital, right?
True.
So you can have a phygital piece.
Yeah.
So that's the first question. What is the format? The second question is, what kind of digital physical is it? Is it a sculpture, painting? Just like in a physical world, you'll ask,
Sure.
am I buying a painting? Am I buying a sculpture?
Sure.
In the digital world, you'll ask, am I buying a MOV file? Am I buying a JPEG file? Am I buying a
Sure.
PIFF file? Am I buying an augmented reality piece, virtual reality piece, right?
Yeah.
And in the phygital also, you get to ask these questions. So that's the second question you ask. And the third question is, what is the relationship? What is the contract? Because this the magic moment, Vaibhav, where there's something called ERC.
ERC.
ERC means Ethereum request for comments. Okay, now ERC is basically the contract between the person who buys the art and the artist.
All right. So they're kind of like,
okay, for example, an NFT can be just access to talking to me, for example.
That's true.
It's a conversation between us, right?
Yeah.
So NFT can be a relationship.
That's true.
It doesn't even have to be an object.
Yes.
So that is fascinating for me, and that's exciting that ERCs allow you to build.
It's the link, basically. It's the fundamentals of blockchain, or I don't know, quantum entanglement, I guess. It's like, yeah.
I love that you say quantum entanglement. Exactly. Literally.
It is. To me, it sounds like it's just beautiful that, it's that the link is the thickest, is the best part. It's basically the ABCs of chemistry here. And that's another subject. But so basically, I'll ask the editor to cut that out. So you have, do you also buy other artists' works? Do you have any
Of course.
any artists you kind of would like?
One of the things I make I list all artists. Vaibhav, I'm losing you.
I'm here. I'm on a very good internet connection.
Can you see me okay? Am I okay for you?
Yes, I can see you. You're fine.
Fantastic.
Please continue.
There are many artists. I don't like to name anyone, but you know what? I always say 20% of everything you make, you should buy someone else's work, because there are many ways to make money in art. One is, we are the first generation. We need to swap each other's works. We need to trade. We need to own each other's works. We need to be rich out of each other's works. It's a community-based movement. In fact, from here, I'm moving to Egypt. I'm going to Egypt to launch a movement with my friends. And all of us are planning to support each other through this movement. It's a global South movement.
You kind of running a mini ecosystem of, I guess, the same.
Absolutely.
Because there's a limited.
This never existed in the art world. It was a click. It's a very different art world that we're seeing emerge right now, Vaibhav. And I'm very happy.
You're opening the conversations on various levels. It's not just about what is art. It's about what art can be too. And that
absolutely.
And that is something.
And there are There are six topics that art can be.
Please tell
Can
me.
I quickly share
Quickly.
something with you?
Take your time. Yeah, go for it. This is amazing. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first point is art needs to go from being exclusive
Yeah.
to being inclusive and accessible.
Sure.
Okay, what you're doing, for example, is very important, right?
Yeah.
Second is art has to go from being hopeless to being hopeful. It has to imagine new realities for us.
That's true. Yeah.
Third, it has to go from causing anxiety, which most artworks do, to a more healing platform.
That's true.
Post-Holocaust, we have seen the death of art, death of the world, death of everything, and anxiety ridden, because change causes anxiety. We need to go from to create art that's healing, building community and connections, right?
Right.
The fourth point is we need to stop being backward facing. We need to imagine new realities and be future facing.
Sure.
And that is a dream for me. And that is my fourth point. The fifth point is art has to stop being academic only and has to be relevant. If it's not relevant, it's not creating the potential change it can create.
Yeah.
Right.
Bang on.
And for that, we need new patrons, new audiences. We have fractional ownership in NFTs where everybody can own a masterwork, even a fraction part of it. We need completely new ways to make art relevant. And finally, art has to stop being just a commodity. It has to be a way of life. And I think ERCs are allowing for this kind of interactions to happen. So those are my 6 key points that I deeply, deeply believe in. And that's what this movement, this community is trying to achieve.
That's actually very good. You want to take the last part of this conversation and kind of finish your point about art educators, about how they can tackle the problem to teach the next generation, because they, for the first time in their lives, are going to be taught by the younger generation something very new. So it's like it's a predicament where it's like my father's generation also listened to their parents and they also listen to their children. This didn't happen in the history of that generation. In the same way, the educators, the art educators of today are going to have to like really learn really fast what NFTs are and how can they teach the next generation itself. So this
I think we're moving from a knowing something to asking the right questions. So, when we went to school, it was all about knowing.
Yeah.
Right. It was about information dump.
Yeah.
But I think we are transcending that. And what teachers need to ask is, how do you ask the most important questions? And if you know how to ask questions, you're always relevant. So teachers have to stop prescribing this school of thought, that school of thought, this formula for creation, that this is considered good, that is considered bad. None of that matters today. The only thing that we can teach our students is how do you ask relevant questions and how may art help us understand this better?
That's a lovely. My absolute last question to you, I've been wanting to ask you this.
Bring it on.
The only way to access NFTs is via cryptocurrency. So you're talking to a very select few of people anyways, right? You're in a way, you're only the people who have access to cryptocurrencies would have the access to NFTs. So the end game for having access for all to have options to either buy or
trade
with NFTs would need to be via this one format of currency. And that's another complete obstacle for a bunch of people who think classically, let's say. So do you feel like the world completely needs to first readjust or absorb the ideas of cryptocurrency in general for NFTs to eventually become normal? And what's
I agree with you. I think that has to happen. But the beauty of crypto is it is actually the most accessible currency.
Yeah.
Anybody can create a wallet. There's no KYC. They don't ask you your name. They don't even ask you your address. There is nothing. You want to create, it's like creating a Gmail account.
I know.
But it's as simple as that.
That risky? Aren't we then dealing in the classical questions of about value itself, and like who validates something. If
Absolutely. That is why we are moving away from a central authority. The only problem with crypto, it is actually the safest currency thus far. However, it has one area of problem, which is with sovereignty, with governments, with control, with, and the way we control mitigate that is through ERC. So before I transact with you, I predetermine the rules of the transaction into the NFT. So as long as that is tight and that is safe, then it's peer-to-peer. It is not central authority to its nodes, you know.
reminds me of the days we used to download peer-to-peer on torrent sites.
Exactly.
In a way,
Exactly.
this is why
Exactly.
politicians
That's what inspired this, by the way.
but that's the reason why that I'm going to use the word older people are so insecure about it, because they don't know how to control this
Of
new.
course. Of course.
All right, Raghav, I kind of like really want to thank you for this conversation. Unless
Thank you, Vaibhav.
you want to say something more at the end of this, because this subject is something that I personally am trying to enter, and it's amazing to have a conversation with you and finally understand these ideas from you themselves.
No,
Right?
I'm happy to have a longer conversation with you later about this. But the one thing I want to say is, if we are dominated by fear,
Yeah.
we're going to live a life that is anxious, backward, and we will never have a chance to be leaders in a space. I'm urging all Indian artists to not speculate, but to actually use this opportunity to build the value we care about, to see the world. We can leapfrog all the legacy bullshit,
Yeah.
and move forward and create a better world.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
evening to you too. Take care, Vaibhav.